So I originally shot this footage in December of 2019. And I did it because I wanted an archive of something that was around when I was a kid that will no longer be around. This video footage is all about the Sears in Riverside, California as it was closing. Now, throughout history, a lot of things kind of get muddled together. I kind of thought to myself, people would remember this as being a victim of COVID. It wasn't. This Sears shut down in January 2020, and this footage is actually from December 2019. This was before the pandemic hit the United States. It's really about a changing of times which killed Sears. And when I originally shot this footage, I did it all with an old iPhone SE1. And I was so nervous about being caught by security that I didn't like hold it like a camera to give anything. Most of the time I held it down low. So the footage I don't think is very good, but it's all I had on me with at the time, and I just kind of did what I could. The original footage was about 30 minutes long, but most of it was unwatchable crap. I just kind of wanted to show this place because it's an icon of the times. It's an icon of change. So anyway, folks, have a happy new year. This was Sears closing 2019.
Okay, so this is the Sears grand closing. I don't know much about this store. I believe it was built in the 1950s or 60s. It had an enormous parking lot, which isn't in the footage. I went at night, and a lot of this video is going to be kind of out of order because I was just walking around with the camera trying not to get noticed by security. But this is it. Now, I kind of make these videos, as I mentioned in the intro, as like a time capsule. These are kind of meant to be watched in the future. This is just a slice of everyday life. Department stores were a very big thing when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s. This was our local Sears. But really, the 2000s, I remember going a lot less. In the 20-teens, I never went. But Sears was a store that sold everything. And their catalog, which was kind of before my time, really sold everything. They were known for the tools, though. Kind of feels weird, like, giving commentary. Most people who grew up with this would know everything this is all about, but it was really weird watching the tool section be empty. This was the first part picked over in the going out of business sale. Pretty much everything was spoken for. And like I said, they sold everything. Here was like a toy section right next to the tool section. They had Nerf guns and then a bunch of other stuff that I didn't really look at. Yeah, Sears also gave eye exams. I never got one there as a kid or anything, but I believe they also had a travel agency. And here we go to more home appliances. This is shaky footage. I really wish I would have just taken a risk and got yelled at by the security instead of tried to hide the camera. But this is what you get. So Sears really kind of was the Amazon of its day, where you could go there and get really anything you would need for a household. And I remember as a kid thinking that the place had a lot of off-brands. Now for appliances, they probably had some of the best. Yeah, that computer looked like it was from the 90s. This is more modern stuff. But I remember like the clothing and stuff, I thought it was off-brands. Yeah, try to get these big, just empty shots just to... And hopefully people kind of see this video in the future and kind of feel a sense of nostalgia for this, because it was a bygone era. Back to more refrigerators. Hold the camera steady, Riley. And as you see, it can go from like refrigerators to like gym equipment right away. And I remember looking at the gym equipment, and there was a kettlebell there, and I lift kettlebells, and it was only 25 pounds, so they wanted like $60 for it, which for like an in-store price, that's like twice the price which you'd see at a gym supply store at the time. I remember I got a 70-pound one for like $80, just a couple years before this video was shot. So the fact that it was 25 pounds for $60, it's pretty expensive. Then we go upstairs. Now, the guy and the girl who you see in the video are friends who I was with. I wasn't following anyone around for this video. They were friends and we went there together. And I had to cut out any of the music or ambient noise in the original video just because I didn't want to get a copyright violation, but they were just playing Christmas music. So any music you do herein is copyright free or royalty free music that I'm using. Yeah, there was the shoe store. Now, $15 for a pair of shoes was very cheap at the time. This would be a place where people would go get their work boots from. I remember there was a campaign in the 90s called The Softer Side of Sears, because Sears had this reputation as just like tools and stuff like that. And they really sold everything. And you'll see in a second, they sold rings and jewelry. I remember in the 90s they sold video games, but they didn't sell any when I went and see them then. I think they got rid of that a long time ago. And this actually does bring back memories because I would have to go with my mom while she went clothes shopping. And we're running around with Corey. But like a lot of these, they looked more or less how I remember them in the 90s. A lot of these clothes. Like here's like the more formal business wear. There was so much at this store that I really couldn't get everything. And I was going for speed and going for stealth. So I just got what I could. See, there was luggage. But these department stores really were the one-stop shops of their day. They had purses. I remember this was like a sequin thing. You could move your hand on it and you kind of change the texture and it's supposed to be colors. And despite being the holidays, this store was mostly dead. I remember shooting this in December thinking it was going to be packed because it was like near, Christmas season, and it really wasn't. This was probably the busiest it's been in years. And there's a stormtrooper on a chair. There was a baby section. I didn't really get too much in there. Now, normally I would have thrown this footage out because it's just of the floor, but I remember the floor tile being so distinct in this building that I just kept it in there. And sadly, this is goodbye. This building had such a neat mid-century look, and it's a shame it's going to go away, but at the same time, we don't need it anymore. And it probably wasn't built the last hundreds of years anyway. But that's the Sears video. I hope you liked it. I hope if you're watching this in the future, it brings back some memories.